While men are on social media, hand wringing about bears, women are being hunted in their own homes by their spouses, by their dads. While men rant about feminism destroying the home, women are facing real threats. And it's not from wildlife, it's from the men who are in their lives typically. Typically, it's someone they know. So this post is about to it is going to be triggering, it is going to be deep, because I'm going through and I'm showing some of the things that men say on social media, and I'm going to show some real life headlines that women are facing, and these are mostly recent things that women are going through. So buckle up, and like I said, I'm just giving the trigger warning ahead of time. As a woman that identifies as a feminist, I see this take regarding feminist and feminism all the time. Women's rights and feminism are why it's almost impossible to have a family on one income. I see men talking about this. I see men talking about stripping away a woman's right to vote. I see this consistently because they want to roll back our rights and make it so that we are dependent on men again. Like this person, Bizlet, the only way to fix fertility rates is to make women directly economically dependent on one man. That's it. That's the fix. No one wants to hear it, but it's true. And so they are saying the quiet part out loud. But because before feminism, women had no choices. There were coverture laws. And these coverture laws basically meant that you either belong to your husband or you belong to your spouse. That's where the tradition of the dad giving his daughter away came from. You belong to them. And so that's the reason why they control. There was no grape, there was no marital grape, because you were owned. And in some places, you can still grape your wife, and it's not even that culturally taboo. And I am going to get to a very tragic story where a woman was tragically raped and expired because of it. But in response to Bizlet, this person says men's response to the alleged fertility crisis is to straight up enslave women and force them into motherhood instead of advocating for better maternity leave and childcare. Stop having their children. Let's jump into some of these headlines. These are not all necessarily from the United States. I have women sharing stories with me all the time from different places. And some of these stories are going to be hard to hear. So I'm mostly doing the headlines. I'm not going completely into detail. This one is brutal. This one's terrible. 2 days after marriage, Ashok brutally raped his 20-year-old wife. I was about to read what all this man named Ashok did to his wife, but it is so graphic. He brutally SA'd her, and then he used his hands and he stuck his hands up in her. This woman died. She did pass away. She passed away from all of the damage that her husband did to her. I'm not going to read this. I started reading this and I'm like, this is just way too much. This is too much for me to read. Ashok's family deliberately concealed the grape, denied her urgent medical treatment, and isolated her from her own family for nearly 2 weeks. They took her to Ankosaria Hospital, where Professor Dr. Mohammed Rauf Sheikh and his team minimized her injuries, lied to her immediate family, made her blind father sign the discharge papers without informing him of its contents, and called her condition just a cut on the intestine and injuries around her anus. Meanwhile, her in laws paid off the hospital to cover up the assault. This is so normalized that they were able to create a whole, ring to protect this man from what he did to him. And in India, there are some places where girls are so devalued that parents are just aiming to give away their daughters anyway. They're giving away their daughters, and then they're giving away some gold to make sure they keep the daughters away. So this is an issue in India, and this poor girl, like I said, she did die from her injuries. Meanwhile, men are still upset about this whole bear versus man conversation that we were having last year. Women were basically saying that if they were caught up between a bear and a bear will just take them out just simply because that's what a bear does. It's in its nature. But you don't know what all kind of damage and violence a man will inflict. And that's the reason why that's the reason why women were choosing the bear. But dudes, they couldn't have any nuance. They didn't want to have an actual conversation and hear the reasoning that women were choosing the bear. I was tagged in this post a couple of days ago. A mass digital X crime is happening in China and the world needs to know. I'm a Chinese woman currently living in Canada and I can't stay silent anymore. There is a horrifying Telegram based site referred to as Mask Park. It's a network of hidden camera footage featuring Chinese women filmed without their consent in private and public spaces like cafes, dressing rooms, clinics, subways, and even their own home. The most disturbing part, some videos are allegedly filmed by the victim's own partners or family members. This is eerily similar to South Korea nth room case where women were blackmailed, filmed, and exploited by massive online groups. But unlike Korea, where the public demanded justice and authorities acted, this scandal is still ongoing. Over 600,000 users are reportedly part of this network. Women who tried to speak out have faced doxing and threats. No major arrests, no meaningful action, no accountability. And then just a reminder of what the nth room was. The nth room case in modern slavery in the digital space. South Korea is again confronted by an example of women being exploited and the global challenge of misused technology. Just a piece of this. Even as COVID 19 dominates the headlines, people in South Korea are furious and traumatized by the news about an online ex crime scandal known as the Nth Room. At least 74 victims, including underage girls, were forced to upload explicit and sometimes violent videos of themselves in chat rooms on the social media and communication app Telegram. At least 260,000 users accessed these chat rooms and paid with either cryptocurrency or videos of their own. They were using this and swapping more videos. There were so many people, so many women and girls victimized by this. And then last year, with this whole Telegram grape chat groups with up to 70,000 members uncovered, thousands of men are participating in chat groups in which they share suggestions on how to grape and SA women, a German investigation has revealed. The groups on the instant messaging service Telegram have as many as 70,000 members who mostly communicate with one another in English and appear to come from a variety of countries. Users claim to have assaulted women in their households, including wives, partners, sisters, and mothers, and also shared instructions with others on how to do the same. And how can we forget the Giselle Pelicot grape trial, where dozens upon dozens of men were convicted of graping this one woman, and it was facilitated by her husband. They were communicating and setting things up. That is how depraved many of these people are and how they use technology. But men got upset about women using an app to attempt to say safer. This T app and situation has been talked about all throughout social media, up and down and around. They are literally outraged, talking about how women can misuse and lie and all of that. Whereas men are using technology to actively attempt or actively just harm women. So, like this headline says, first came tea, then came male rage. The app was meant to make dating safer for women. Data breaches exposing its users show why it was so popular in the first place. I already talked about this a little bit, but it says until last Thursday, the team behind the app T Dating Advice was having an extraordinary week. They claim to have amassed more than 2 million new users, making T the most popular free app in Apple's App Store after it stirred discussion on TikTok and Reddit. Women were using T, whose tagline is helping women date safe in exactly the way they're supposed to, reviewing men they've dated, giving them a green flag or red flag evaluation, seeking information on new prospects, running background checks to look for criminal records or ex-offender registration, or if people were have a history of DV, or if they, or whatever. That's all women were doing. But this is how women are using technology. That's how men were using technology. And when we talk about how women are not even safe in their home, like this woman, it says Goldsboro woman was shot dead by her husband. This was a murder suicide situation. This woman was about to leave her husband, and her father in law shot her. He planned this murder for a week and took her out. Even fathers are taking out their daughters. This dad shot his tennis star because people were making fun of him or whatever because she was bringing in money, and supposedly he couldn't handle the teasing. So he took out his own daughter. But yes, let's blame women for things. Let's blame women. Let's blame feminists for wanting women to be safe. Let's blame women for pulling out of religion. I decided to put this at the very end. Charlie Kirk talking about the Jezebel spirit. And I want to say to women, get that Jezebel spirit and get a sense of self-preservation. I'm going to end with this clip so you can see other ways that feminists are being blamed. Chime in and let me know what you think.
But we're seeing the music revolution. So the top music right now is Christian music. Young men are going back to church. Young ladies, we need a little bit of help with. But young ladies, they have to shed themselves of the Jezebel spirit. They have to. The Jezebel spirit has just infected an entire generation of young ladies. And they need to, this is one of the reasons why I talk about why Mary, the mother of Jesus, is so important to crush feminism. Feminism has done such damage to these young ladies. It's just beyond, it's very, very difficult to summarize that in a short period of time. But we're seeing the music revelation and the Renaissance and the church Renaissance. It's a beautiful thing. And even if you are listening to this and Jesus Christ is not your Lord and Savior, you should be cheerleading people to go back to church.